The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my finances. All is well, all is well. The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my resources. All is well, all is well. The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my finances. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the podcast. What is this? Number 14. Patiently Waiting for Nothing podcast number 14. I am so excited about tonight. And I just want to let you know that if you have not listened to the other 13 shows, you will have time to do that because we're going to take a little break after this. So we'll start on podcast number 15 in the fall. Now remember, we started off talking about fear and aloneness, and we got into racism and prejudice. There's a lot for you to listen to, so you won't really miss us during this time, okay? But I do want to give you an opportunity to catch up, all right? And I also want to just thank you, too. Thank you for participating, for being here. And if you purchased the book, those of you who did, and it's on Kindle, on Amazon Kindle. And if you're a Prime member, it doesn't cost you anything. So you can go there and just read it for free. And so that's something you can do this summer, too. And then in the bottom, or on each chapter, there are additional readings or additional books that we send you to actually take yourself into a deeper understanding of the topic or the theme that we're talking about. So feel free to do that. You know, I want to just encourage you to expand your spiritual standing. It's going to be what holds you up when things are challenging. Okay, so we're not doing this just to entertain you. I promise you that. We really want to support you, encourage you, and give you some substance that you can use when things are just not going the way that you want them to. Okay? And tonight, we're going to have a wonderful, intimate conversation with Coach Iris, and we're going to be talking about trust. And as we talk about trust, we're going to be looking at that conversation inside of relationships. So, you know, I want you to get ready for that. And if you have any questions or anything, go to the chat, send us some questions, or if you want to comment, you know, do that as well. But I want you to really participate inside of, do you trust? Or how do you trust? Okay, so let's bring in our special guest. Iris, are you there?
Peace, I'm here.
Hey, Coach Iris, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. I am so glad to finally have an opportunity. I don't think that we've really been on this platform for years, right?
Correct.
I think when we started out, Ignite Your Soul Connection, right? That was over 10 years ago.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Yes.
You're right.
So.
Wow.
Right. That's. So why don't you go ahead? I want you to take some time to introduce yourself to the audience. Give them a little bit of history of who you are so they can connect before we actually get into the conversation, okay?
Okay. My name is Iris Berry. I am a health and lifestyle coach, a certified health and lifestyle coach. My practice is holistic. My niche is helping people in their relationship with food and to food. We'll get into that at some point.
Okay.
And I am from Philly original. East Coast rocks the most. And I grew up in the military. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's who I am. I am a Master Force life coach. Specifically, I believe I completed my certification in
10.
Wow.
10 to 20.
It was 2010?
You were in the first class. You were
Oh,
with
my
yeah, you were in the first class with
Oh
Shalonda
my goodness, you said
and
that. Yeah. Oh, my two sissies, my little sis Carmela Lynette and my big sis Shalonda Bowler.
That's
Oh my
right.
goodness. Oh my goodness. You said that. Where was I?
Yeah. So that was a while ago. That was long before you got to Arizona.
That was long. That was 3 years before I actually became a certified health coach.
Yes.
As well. So it actually is a wonderful marriage because I believe doing a life coaching piece helped me understand nutrition outside of what people use it for, and that it's equally as important relationship as all the other relationships we are in and how we relate to it.
Yes.
So, wonderful.
Very good. Yes, that is wonderful, isn't it? And I love when people start looking at when they actually completed the curriculum. And that class specifically, because you guys did not want to end. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I do. I mean, I think our cohort was it wasn't just a nurturing piece of it. It's just we had so many people that were so different and so much stuff going on. Oh, we got Dr. Tammy Matthews in that group. We had
Great.
Audrey in that group.
Yes.
In that group. I mean, that was
Julian.
That was a solid group.
That was a solid, and they're still solid today. Yes. So we had
and I think because of that, oh wow. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, no, that's it. That's a beautiful. That's the story right there, right? We'll have to create something around that because when I look at the foundation that you guys are inside of the conversation, it just really does fulfill me. It's really an amazing place to look. So thank you for that.
I can imagine that it is. I mean, because you really gifted us. I still have my binder. I still refer to it. Yeah. Sometimes I get a little cocky when people start, quoting stuff to me like, all right. Then I have to remember to humble myself because even it might be new to them, I still might learn something from them.
Yeah.
And use the tool different than how I was taught or how I've used it since then. So.
Well, I remember being so amazed at how meticulous you were with your binder. Girl, you were like, wait, I gotta put this
sometime.
Do you remember that?
Look, sometimes you have to, you try to gain control of something, when you're learning something new. And that was probably my way of trying to maintain some ideal of control and all this newness that was coming to me and going through me. So I can believe that.
No, I love it because that demonstrated the value that you found in the work. So I appreciate it. No, So, but today we're actually talking about a book that I wrote 10 years ago. 20 years ago, right? Isn't that crazy? Every time I think about that, it's really interesting. So give me your personal take on the book, Patiently Waiting for Nothing.
I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the story attached to the book, and what I took away from, as I told you, when I looked at the characters, Miss Helen and Bobby, I believe I'm on the continuum of who they are in my development. Like right now, I think I am Bobby in that I'm in another phase of my life. I'm in the 50s now. It looks different than what the 40s were, where 40s were hard. Like literally after 42, it seemed like a meteorite hit and I just imploded. And so I feel like I'm on the end with Bobby because I'm relearning those things in the context of my current living as a real grown ass woman. Always been grown, grown ass, but like a real. It's a lot inside of that. Because even reading the book, and I reread it today, as I told you, I took away a lot of gems, and what I really appreciated about reading a book is the bibliography. Not that it's just in the back; it's at the end of each segment, and that was a great tool.
Yeah.
So, and the art is nice too. I love the art above the affirmations. What a nice touch.
Oh, I after I wrote that book, a brother King came to me and he said, those are Ndinkas, and he had me go and study that. I was like, wow, I had no idea, and
Yes.
I actually hand drew those, or actually,
oh wow,
on the computer
okay.
I drew them, but I created them myself, right?
Oh, well, that's an amazing thing because, I mean, you're not even using the common ones that we see all the time.
No.
So that's the beauty in that.
Yeah, that was fun. So now, do you wanna go ahead and share with us? Do you want to read Trust so we can hear?
Yes.
Okay, go
yes.
ahead. I'd like to. I love being read too.
Girl, I understand. Me too. You can do anything for me. You can read to me.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the affirmation like the book is set up, and
Okay.
then I'll read the passage.
Okay.
In this moment, I allow trust to walk me to a place of inner security and peace. Again, in this moment, I allow trust to walk me to a place of inner security, and peace.
Mm-hmm.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Trust. This is a tricky chain. This tricky chain is formed in childhood and can never be broken or repaired until the child chooses to break or repair it. When I trust, it's only because I learned to trust that all my needs and cares will be taken care of by the world around me. If my mother or my father does not establish my trust in them, I have nothing to transfer to others or God. My entire existence is then created on my relying on no one but myself. Yet I breathe God's breath and I trust her not. When I learn to trust God, I no longer determine the worthiness of trusting others. They will do with my trust what they will. I have no control with this. Yet, when others put their trust in me, I honor that position and I protect that honor. The Creator clearly sends people into my life because it is known to the universe that I can be trusted. The work will get done. The love will be granted. Trusting another is the blanket of security that allows my soul to heal and be healed. Ashe.
Wow. And now, we can listen to that on deeper levels, right?
Right? Come on now. I told you I kept reading it. I told you.
Oh my goodness, that's dimensions.
It's so much in here because it deals from us from infancy, to whatever our spiritual religious denomination or spiritual beliefs might be. Everything is in there, but then it also makes sure that you know that trust is less about other people and more about your relationship to God, the universe, Buddha, and what the universe is going to give back to you. I think that's the final thing that you have to take away from that.
Do you remember a time when you were not in a conversation of trust?
Probably most of mine. Probably from the time. Oh goodness, read it now. Come on, Miss Rita. Probably with all the well-intentioned adults around me, I would have to say from the time I was about 10 years old until into my very late 20s, I was in that place. Because I was the one that, if no one could do it, I could do it all myself, which meant chaos, basically. Mm-hmm. So the statement that says, my entire existence is then created on my relying on no one but myself.
Yes.
And I felt that way a very, very long time. And it was because of lack of trust. Mm-hmm. Period. lack of trust, and probably because that's how we're nurtured, that you got to have these characteristics or that characteristics to be trusted, and it's so much in there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, when you just said that, I looked too, and I remember, I remember about 9 years old, I had decided that adults really were not very intelligent at all.
Yeah, you decided they weren't intelligent. I decided that they were selfish.
I think I said in my head, they're stupid. And I mean, at 9, I was being very arrogant, but I literally said, adults are stupid. I remember thinking that. You know what I'm saying? Because I couldn't dare say it out of my mouth.
But yeah. it was truth to that because we're so busy adulting and surviving if you didn't have an ideal home life or for what people think is ideal, and surviving what our parents gave us based on what they knew or chose to do. It's one of those things where the adults do become stupid. We forget to be free in our existence. We forget to trust. Mm-hmm. We immediately learn not how to communicate, because as children, and I'm guilty of that too, mm-hmm. we give our kids so much guidance, they never discover how to communicate effectively. We teach them how to communicate to get what they need. Yeah. In terms of the larger world, not in their intimate interactions like watching their parents interact and that type of thing. So you probably hit the nail on the head. We as adults can be dumb. And I can see how children get confused and conflicted, because so often our nurturing is more conditioning.
It is. That's a great word for it. And that in itself creates mistrust in children. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we want them to do. I remember people saying, just do what I tell you to do. And I'm looking at you doing something completely different.
Yep. Because I said so. Look, because I said so.
And that never did work for me. And I certainly, I refused to raise my children like that. It was kind of like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you, watch what I do. You know? And if you choose to do something different, that's on you. You know? But I'm not going to try to tell you what to do. You know? Because it's a difference when you're telling somebody to do something and you yourself are not doing it.
There it is, and I'm guilty of that as a parent. I mean,
mm-hmm.
Had very high expectations, but I also knew I had a very powerful being that was raising me.
Yes, I love that.
Raising, so it was kind of like, okay, I got to give her everything she needs to survive, as opposed to thrive. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because thriving is going to come after the surviving. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but I also like what you said, that she's raising you.
Oh, always. Mm-hmm. Always. I mean, not that was a great thing, because sometimes it was literal as much as it was figurative.
Okay.
But always. My guidance, I might not have used it always, mm-hmm. but always my guidance from attempting to guide her came from her.
Yes.
And a comparison to what maybe I got. For example, when it came to her education, it's just an easy, non-complex example to use. When it came to her education, I knew before she was born how she would learn, mm-hmm. and what I wanted her to learn. And I did a lot of educating in the home. And the beauty of that is at the time when she was really young, my ex-husband came from a family where his father was a teacher and a counselor. His mom was a stay-at-home mom. So education was uber valued. So my passion for teaching her and some of the stuff that they taught me, I knew what I wanted her to learn, and she became that kind of student. She knew at 5 that she would go to school college on scholarship, and she did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's pressure, but it also is what I knew that I wanted for her. And I didn't rely on the public school system to do as they may. She still had stuff to do at home.
That's right. You know, and as a matter of fact, I love this meme that I've seen in the past few years that said, if your child is only being educated at school, they're not being educated properly.
Come on now.
And that's
Come
real.
on.
Yes, most of the real education does take place at home.
Yes, it does.
You know, on so many bases. Now, you know, the other part too about trust is, you know, how did you get from where you didn't trust, you looked around your environment and you didn't trust what you saw, but then you had to learn how to trust yourself, and then you had to learn how to trust life itself. How did you make that transition?
Well, I think I'm still making that transition. I think it's going to sound corny, but it really is learning to retrust our intuition, that gut instinct, that initial instinct that we get that is so often in how we live today. Oh no, girl, that you overreacting, you overthinking it, you doing this. Girl, go ahead, give it a chance. Go ahead, give her a chance. Go ahead, and something inside of you is saying, no, this don't sit right. But we're taught so often to give anything a chance. So I want to say how I got through it. It's just my personality. If you've met me, whatever it is I want to try or do, for the most part, I try. A friend of mine gave me a magnet that said, build the wings is an African proverb. I think it is. I should have found it before I got on here. Mm-hmm. Build the wings on the way down. I learned to just be and just do. Mm. Just be and just do. I realize I wear my emotions on my sleeve, which people don't think it is factual because of how I speak. I'm very forthright. I say what's on my mind. But I think that should be the key, that if I can say this right here at the risk of you being offended or at the risk of you not misunderstanding me, then that should tell you my level of trust in myself and my instinct is there. Let me know if I go off task because I'm good.
That's great. No, keep going. No.
But I think I continually learn it. Living here with my mom has probably been the biggest element of trust, because instead of trusting that the relationship will evolve where it needs to be without rehashing the past, that's what I did the first 4 years. Then I said, you know what, let me just trust that there's love here. Mm. Let me just trust that at the end of the day, we're going to be all right. And the moment I did that, and literally these are things I have to say out loud to myself. Yeah. After I go through all these things of asking this person, asking that person, trust, I've learned, is just being in it and being with what it is. If you need to vent, I've learned that it's only a few people that you can vent to and they understand that you're venting and you're not looking for guidance. Right. Does that make sense? Yes. So this way they're not pouring into what you're already going through. And I'm guilty of that. I'm first to try to solve something. So don't think I'm, infallible when it comes to that. But when it comes to this, I really had to learn to sit with it. I love being alone, but sometimes I can be alone and still be very distracted. The music's playing. I am doing two things at once that don't match. I might be taking time to elevate when it's not what I'm supposed to be doing at that moment because I need to be a different type of lucid. Mm-hmm. It's been practice. It's been by practice because I trusted that 2020 would be a great year. Did no rituals, did nothing. And guess what? In spite of everything that's going on, 2020 owes me, excuse my language, motherfucking nothing. Yeah. 2020 owes me no. It has been mentally, emotionally. I think this is probably in a long time the first year in where I've felt truly like an Iris I know. Not who I was, not who I've been, none of that. But hey, I like this girl. She it. And not just a she it, what other people think they're drawn, but she it. There's less dark clouds. There's less unclarity. 2020 has been amazing. And I believe it's because, ironically, just trust.
That's beautiful. No, that's just keep going with that one, because we need to hear that. Yes.
I mean, it's just been 2020. I've had friends that we go between friend associates. You know, you see each other a lot, then you just see each other on Facebook, to where they've reached out and we're bartering service together and doing stuff together. We're having conversations about things where I am the one maybe giving guidance tips, or then it flips. Then I have my family relating. Oh my God! Just last night, just yesterday, my nieces were over with my mom and my sister. So it's 3 generations of women in here supporting one another. When I say 2020 owes me nothing, we've been leaning into love. We've been leaning into understanding, and we've been leaning into trust. And I think the trust is just letting go. We sometimes put so much weight on words, which they definitely mean something, especially when you're speaking about what you want to manage in your life. But I think 2020 is the year of trust, trusting that it's going to be all right.
That's trusting. Right. Go ahead.
Just trust. I mean,
I'm loving this, Iris, because it's so great. I mean, everybody is just falling apart and wanting to fix it and wanting to make it right. And it's like, just suppose this is what it is that we need to go through. Like, it's all fine.
Exactly. When has it? I guess my question, and this looks different for people at different socioeconomic levels. So I don't want to make it sound like, oh my God, this is grand. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that I trust that 2020 would be all right. And so far it's been all right.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that sometimes our comfort, or what we view as comfort, it's really inflated. Like, I have yet to meet someone in my circle that really, 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 even with the things that they may have lost, don't have something to be grateful for every day.
Yeah. No.
And that's because ultimately in their living, there is trust. The things that they lost in 2020, they can be recouped.
No, that's powerful, and I'm so glad that you brought trust into 2020, because it could make a difference for people who are struggling with a sense. We talked earlier when we were actually synchronizing our energy about the uncertainty, and how people just do not know that there's power inside of being able to just be with the uncertainty instead of trying to make it go away. Instead of, I need to know.
Yes.
So that piece.
I was going to say, and I attribute that need to know that we have is part of our upbringing. It gives us a sense of control. It doesn't even put us at ease. It's just the knowing gives us that much more information, but still the uncertainty lies. I'll use Corona as an example, because, we have so much information about what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, and people adjusting their lifestyles. But the very one thing that people don't pay attention to and trust is that generally in all of our public health outbreaks, the prevention measures almost ultimately reduce or eliminate your risk of becoming infected. And this is not I don't want people to think that this is a coronavirus promo to do what the CDC says. It's really, and I'm not going to go over the tips because we all know them, but that's saying an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
The people who hollering about they're trying to take our simple liberties and this is part of what other conspiracy, this, that, and the other thing. Fine, have that. But in the meantime and in between time, trust what you've been told. Because they gave you just enough time, gave you just enough information to protect yourself.
And then inside of that conversation of trust, we have to reduce our fear.
Yes. There it is.
Yeah. Because yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go.
I'm just saying that
I can drink water.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's you can have arguments on all sides of that coin, right? But if they're coming from fear on either way, you're still not trusting the process.
There it is.
And if we don't learn anything, self-preservation is the first law. So your gut will tell you, when it's time to do this, when it's time, you know what I'm saying? Yes. And even the information that we're being given, even as it changes, your gut will tell you. When it was time to be in the house, what did we do? We went in the house.
And that was it. Look, that was it. It wasn't no whole lamenting and laboring over stuff. That's what it was.
And let me see what's going on. And then as it became clear, like, oh well, if I go out and I go out inside of this, because I still wanted to walk every day. I didn't walk with a pack of people.
And you know what? I did walk every day.
I did too.
I did walk without a mask.
I did too. Because
I had it with me.
Right.
The same way I do when I carry my inhaler, because my asthma is induced by allergies and exercise.
Yeah. So you have to have it prevented, right? You up hiking and you left your inhaler at home. That's not smart. You know? Yeah. So I know the other day I had to go to an institution, and I usually do have my mask in my purse. And as much as I prefer not to, I'd like to have it with me because you have signs, no mask. So I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot my mask because I had washed it, right? And I forgot it. And I said, well, maybe they'll have one, And I just walked in and smiled, and nobody said anything. Everybody had on a mask. Nobody said anything. I said, okay, we got distance. We got the 6 feet all over. Let me just go sit down. Nobody said anything. And I just sat there and I said, thank you, universe. Thank you. That's all I could say. Because I wasn't trying to, I don't, as much as I push the envelope, I'm not going to fight somebody over something. You know what I mean? If they would have said, we can't serve you, I would have understood. And you wouldn't
have argued because you know what time it is, and that's right. What it is right now.
Yes. I'm not going to argue. But they, I don't know. I say it's because I'm now an elder and people have a little bit more grace with me.
Look, use it.
I said, but if I was going to ask, do you have a mask? But no, but they said just go sit down. So I just went and sat down. But that's inside of trusting too.
That is.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Trusting that you will be taken care of and that people are good to you. So now, have you had relationships with people where the trust was broken?
Of course. I wish I could say no, but of course.
Were you able to repair it?
So my design is I don't hold grudges, even though I might get quiet and I might step away from you. But oftentimes my quietness is based on, okay, you're not there yet. If you don't see it and I got to keep saying something, then I need to just step back. I need to get quiet and disassociate, basically. Mm-hmm. But just recently in my relationship with my girlfriend Tara, that have took 4 years to really get this good core group of friends in Tucson, which is a whole nother story. It was an incident when I made clear my wishes for a specific event was going to happen, and one of my friends, and she is my friend, my dear friend, decided that they were going to do what they want to do, and I would just participate anyway. And for me, because I communicate pretty much very clearly, especially the older I get, the more I'm able to say, no, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. And you will respect that. My feelings were hurt. I made it known my feelings were hurt. But what I didn't do is I didn't attempt to guilt the person into responding properly. I just got quiet and I said, I'd rather not talk to anybody. And I stated my feelings were hurt.
Yeah.
In that, by the end of the day, that person apologized and apologized for what they actually did.
Yeah.
So that's what I think when we think about someone losing our trust or hurting us and resulting in a loss of trust. I think sometimes we think it has to be really, really traumatic. I think when it comes down to trust with other people, I think when you're really hurt, it's when you've done everything to communicate what it is that you don't want it to happen. I think the hurt does not necessarily come from the person doing it. It's because you allowed yourself to forget that they will be, as you say in the piece on trust, people are going to be who they're going to be, but specifically it says, when I trust, it's that the piece? Hold on, I trust is only because you take care of it. Where is that statement in this?
It's towards the end, I think, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Well, the work get done, trust. No, I gotta read it, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta read it.
Go ahead. Come on, read the whole thing to us again.
Okay, there you go. They will do it. So I'm gonna read both sentences because this is the pre-leading. When I learned to trust God, I no longer determine the worthiness of trusting others. They will do with my trust what they will. I have no control with this. They will do with my trust what they will. I have no control with this.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah.
And then that whole paragraph is on it. Look, that whole paragraph is on it. Hold on.
Okay.
Yet when others put their trust in me, I honor that position and I protect that honor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the misguidedness when it comes to trust comes from, is because we have the expectation that others will perform and do as we do, where if we release the expectation and move into acceptance around one, trusting our gut, because that's the first thing when it comes to trust. Yeah. You have to realize that you're your own compass. You know what's truly good for you and where you should be. Right. If you simply just be still, get quiet, and listen, or pay attention. And then the other piece of that when it comes to trust is it really is not as complex as we make it. We're so busy with our expectations of others that we forget to be present. And I think that's when our feelings begin to get hurt.
Yeah. I remember thinking, and I share this a lot when I'm teaching too, that when people say, I can't trust people, what they're actually saying is, I can't be trusted. Because if you think about it, if you don't trust people, that means you're not being authentic in the presence of those people. You're not 100% there. You're not really present. Can you see that? Like, yes. I'm gonna hold back until I see what you do. So then I'm not dealing with the genuine person inside of that.
That's the representative.
That's a representative, right? So I don't trust people. So it's almost like you have to be willing to just trust and let people do what they want to. Once people show you who they are, okay, I got you. That's it. That's an observation, though. Nothing is lost in that. I keep my trust because who do I trust? I trust me. I trust God. I trust life. You see that?
Yes.
And it's a different sense of security, and inner peace, because people are going to do what they're going to do.
And there's nothing you can do about it. you can't even protect yourself from the repercussions of their behavior or their statements. All you can do is be with the fact that this too shall pass. That's trust.
That's trust.
That's trust.
Yeah. And allowing people to be where they are. Because just like you said, you gave space for yourself to be with your hurt. And you shared that you were hurt. You let people know. You weren't pouting. You let people know, hey, this is how I feel. And you allow room and time. And then that person came back and realized, wait a minute, this is a valued relationship. You don't treat people that you value in a bad way. You really don't. So you have a chance to clean that up. And, I think that part of that work, too, is trusting that we are who we say that we are as well.
Come on now. Woo, that's a loaded one too, because I think oftentimes we so busy performing that we forget to be present. And then there's the conflict between what you actually present that is of you that people aren't able to receive. And they come away with, oh, that's not what I expected. Oh, when I hear terms like that, I'm like, that's because you shouldn't have been expecting nothing.
How can you even expect something?
You should have been trusting a little sweetness what's going to happen in our interaction.
Something? Okay. I wasn't expecting that. Well, tell me, you didn't give me the playbook.
Right? Look, let me know. Because, you had too many expectations to begin with if you just meeting me.
Well, hello, right? But you know what it is too, because years ago I used to wear my hair short like yours, and people say, "You're a revolutionary, you're a radical," and no. Now there was a time when I was, but don't let the hairstyle fool you.
Honey, let me tell you. The number of people. And that's really the funny thing about Arizona and being in Tucson and in Phoenix. It's a very religious town, kind of literally like Bible Beltish.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting because most of these people also grew up in an era where the politics and respectability is how we operated. If I'm just good enough, if I'm just quiet enough, if I look just right, if I say it the right way, if my tone is good, that is really the heartbeat of the community right now. And I'm so glad watching the young people finally come up and just go around them.
Yes.
But living here, I have learned that I am considered rebellious, for lack of a better word. Wow. And it's funny to me because I'm like, really, I just made a statement. I don't mince words. I didn't mince them anywhere I lived, but this is probably one of the few places I've lived that I hear comments about it regularly. Even one of my sisters calls me a little rebel, and I'm offended. Yeah, I'm offended by it, but then I'm not, because I'm like, that's her ignorance, because she's uncomfortable with truth. She's uncomfortable with another perspective, and that's not about me. Right. That's again about how she was raised and how she learned how to trust to be who she is. And in trusting who she is about conforming and making other people feel comfortable.
Yes.
As opposed to standing in what her truth is and trusting that it's going to be all right if you stay true to who you are.
That's a good one, because most people are so afraid of being themselves that they have conformed and that they don't even know who they are.
Come on now. Come on.
And so when you start telling the truth, or start even, cracking a little light on the subject, oh no, you got to stop talking. You're a rebel. You're saying too much.
Mm-hmm. There it is. You gonna offend somebody? Yeah. Well, that's really not my responsibility. They control how they feel.
But Iris, you're Aries, aren't you?
That's my sun sign. Yes.
Yes, your sun sign. So, I tell people all the time. I said I am surrounded by these powerful Aries women, and I have never been in conflict with them.
See?
Never a conflict. And it's inside of knowing yourself and allowing the space to open and expand as it will, right? Because you're bringing your view into the space. Just by you showing up, your view is going to expand me.
Mm.
I don't have to have any expectation of that. All I have to do is allow.
And I think that word allow, that's the trust.
Yes.
That's the process of trust.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Now that take us all the way into Abraham Hicks, right? But that is true. I mean, just really trusting and allowing life to be. I am so grateful that, if nothing else, 2020 is causing all of us to, get a little bit more uncomfortable.
Yep. And to lean in. Because you can't get through this without leaning in.
Yeah.
You can. The amount of, which was in your book too, the amount of loneliness that's going to lead to people learning how to be alone. In my coaching right now, I want to say that so many referrals I've made for people to talk to employee assistants or to look for, some type of official therapy, because oftentimes in my life coaching is not enough what I'm getting. And I like to stay within my boundaries. I'm not your counselor.
Yes.
I'm not your therapist.
Yes.
I'm your coach. I'm here to meet you where you at, take you to a certain point that you get it, and, you grow.
Right.
But a lot of it is surrounding loneliness, and the ability to actually be alone and differentiate between what is loneliness and being alone. What's the difference? And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. And I think that's what 2020 is also here to show us, is being within ourselves means being alone. Not lonely, which just means without, but being alone is being able to hear the noise in your head and quiet it. It's accepting where you are and helping yourself move through it. Being alone is actually more powerful than any of us can think of right now, because it gives us time to heal emotionally and mentally, which is the ugly part. That's where the part is hard to sit at. Mm-hmm. Because everything that you have not released, trust that will heal itself and let go, you're dealing with right now during Corona alone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really good. I really have to, I love being alone so much that I have to have friends who are extroverts, because I literally I love creating. So I have this high intensity for making stuff and creating stuff and poetry and songs and books, and so there's times when I lived alone that my spirit told me, you can't live alone. You literally cannot spend all this time by yourself.
Right.
And because a hermit's life is not for everybody.
It's not, and I think that's where the trust comes in too, because oftentimes we associate our ability to thrive, because you do need to be nurtured. Don't get me wrong.
Yes. You
need the human contact.
Yes.
Through touch.
Yes.
Sound.
Yes.
Those experiences are really, really, really important. But what for a lot of us that are not accustomed to just being alone, not lonely, being alone, we're not accustomed with being with ourselves.
Yeah.
And being naked in that moment with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's trust. Seeing ourselves outside of what our roles at work are. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're in a caregiving field. People who are caregivers often think they're introverts. They're less likely not, hence the jobs they have.
Oh, yeah, because I could not be a caregiver.
Right. And as a health coach, I'm in the caregiving field and healthcare field, but I also did it in a way such that allows me to buffer myself. Yeah. I get to set my hours. I get to focus on maybe the basics of nutrition,
right,
physical fitness, self-care, stress management, diabetes. I get to decide which element I'm going to work on and how. Yes. And then when I can't serve you after that, there's an effective referral.
Yes, I can tell you where to go next.
Right? Mm-hmm. And if I can't tell you, give me a minute. I'll find out.
I'll find someone for you. You know, that's beautiful. And then the other part about people dealing with their, you know, inside of now dealing with being alone, we have to reconcile those places in ourselves as children when people were not there. And it scared us, you know, and we made something up about it. But when we reconciled that, I think our superheroes will come up. You know, You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, yes. Wait a minute, you're really not alone. There's a whole universe that you came here to share who you are with. And only you have that seed or that nugget. So it's in you. And this alone time, this time with yourself will help you discover it. But first you have to stop thinking that there's something wrong. You have to trust that you're here for a reason and you have a purpose.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very much so.
Yeah, that aloneness that's a good one, you know. The other part too, I had a relationship with a friend that I really love, and our friendship broke off. And it was because of something that she said. And she kept trying to come back and apologize. And I said, no, an apology will not fix this. I said, you need to find out where that came from in you, that you even thought you needed to say that to me. You know, and until you deal with that, you can't be in my space. You know, and that was hard. I mean, I was doing readings on a regular. It was really because, you know, how you love someone and you like, this is, you know, but at the same time, I have my boundaries too, you know, and I grew up in a very toxic environment as a child, and I did not know what it meant to protect my boundaries, right? Or to even make boundaries. So I had to create that as I got older. And so it's like, no, it's precious to me to honor who I am, you know, and know that, you know, that did not come from a good place. So it took her probably about a year and a half before she finally got to the root of it. And she realized, you know, it was her mother, her sister, you know what I'm saying? But it was a genuine work done. You know what I mean? It was very genuine. And so I said, when you do that work, you don't need to apologize.
Come on now.
Because you've cleaned the slate. You've actually saw that you were projecting something that didn't belong to me, first of all. You know. So, you know, I think that too, that helps to put a deeper sense of trust in relationships when you do that with people you care about. You know, and sometimes people lose relationships because they won't do that work. Does that make sense?
Oof. Yes. Look, you hear me?
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, we matter to each other. And you don't get to, you know, I don't know, so many people have walked away from me in my life. And I'd be like, man, you know. And not that I think I'm the all in all or anything like that, but, you know, it's just like, wow, that's interesting.
And I think some of it, too, is that you're so clear about who you are and how you want to live that we, oftentimes when people like you come into my lives and myself, it's an infringement because they're not as free or entrusting to be who they want to be and how they want to be. So people have to move around because they'll identify the behavior as something negative or something opposed to what they believe, but most of it is because they're purely uncomfortable. It's an infringement on their sanity that has told them so long that who we are and how we are is not appropriate.
Yes. I know I don't live up to anybody's expectations.
Girl, I'm the queen of, we're going to share a crown on that one.
Oh, whatever.
Right? Look, that's not my responsibility. It'll be all right when they realize that I'm all right. And they should be all right if they want to be all right.
Yeah, right. And listen, and I'm not going to try to make you all right in the process.
Look, that ain't my job. Look, that ain't my job. That ain't my job.
Not at my job. Mm-mm.
That ain't my job. That ain't my job.
Mm-mm.
My job is to care, but trust. I can't fix what you think is wrong because I may not have the same belief.
Yes. Well, Iris, I always just try to give an hour to this, and I'm looking at this.
Girl, we can get off of here hours more.
No. But I want you to let people know what you're currently contributing, and then how they can engage with you, because I think that's important, because you do. So many of Master Force coaches are just amazing role models. You inspire me on a regular. I mean, just all of the coaches, I just get so full being inspired every day.
Well, thank you. So right now I don't have any specific offerings, but as I stated at the beginning, I am a holistic health and lifestyle coach with a niche focusing on your relationship with food. And that's the one thing that I do in terms of what I bring in to bring in income and as to contribute to our overall wellness with a specific focus on Black lives. Also, right now, I am participating in an amazing 21-day Black History Boot Camp with Girl Trek. To learn more about Girl Trek, go to girltrek.org. But what I love about this particular boot camp is that I'm learning about different Black women for the next 21 days. So it's about to end because we're on day 14 now.
Yeah.
And there are women that I know that I thought I knew, right. And then there are women that are new to me. Mm-hmm. And then there are your faves, Eartha Kitt, Audre Lorde. So this focus is beautiful because it's accompanied with movement, with walking. Walking is not just physical activity, not just a great form of exercise if used properly. It is also a form of meditation.
Yes.
It is also considered a radical form of self-care.
Yes.
And that is the biggest reason while I'm participating, because I want to model to other Black women that we are our best advocate.
Yes.
We are our primary healers. In order to heal and be healed, we have to be an active part. So getting out 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, just for ourselves is really, really important. So that's one of the other things I am contributing my time to and want other women to, because that little bit, that 30 minutes a day, it is not just recommended by Girl Trek. It is founded in science from and I hate to use that word because it just brings up a whole bunch of stuff, but the American Medical Association, the American Dietetics Association, the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Association, all of them, the AMA, the Doctors Association, I can't think of it right now, all recommend a minimum of 30 days a week. 5 days a week.
30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. 30 minutes at a moderate pace. And that moderate pace is based on what your moderate is. Can you get yourself moving just enough to where you're slightly winded, but you can talk but don't want to? Mm-hmm. That's when your heart knows it's kicked. You kicked in to do some exercise, and the body will respond accordingly. And so that's what my offerings right now.
Yes. And where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me. So IG is all Girl Trek right now for the most part. But they can find me on Instagram at Berry Well Living. That's BerryLiving. I'm sorry, that's not correct. That's Berry, BerryWellLiving on Instagram. And the same thing on Facebook. very well living. My website is under construction and will be down as of June 23rd because my offering is about to change. But my email is capital BERRY, capital WELL, capital LIVING at gmail.com. My process is very simple. We do an initial consultation, one for me to learn about your overall health and if there's a way for me to support you, two, to assess that as a client and a provider, I am able to work with you and you are able to work with me. So it's a part of an interview. What you walk away from with in that initial consultation is at least 2 or 3 immediate recommendations. Generally, they're real easy to follow that would improve your health in a matter of 7 to 10 days.
Oh,
so
yes. You know, and the other thing I want to just encourage people to follow you on IG because you do your lab work. Boy, your dishes be looking so good.
So lab time is something that I've done since I got my certification, because one of the things that I know for sure and that most of us know and won't apply, because food is an addiction for many of us. We disguise it as many things.
Right.
But our relationship with food is one of the most intimate relationships we should have. Our relationship with food is one of the most intimate relationships we should have. Reason being is that our relationship with food, what we eat, what we put in our body, it fuels us. That's one of the primary functions. And the second function is that it heals us.
Yes.
Should it be equally as enjoying and satisfying like other relationships can be with work? Yes, it should. But primarily, if we focused on what its purpose was, to fuel and to heal, we would all be well. So I generally post my food as guidance. You know, I don't give a lot of tips. My theme for my post is usually keep it sweet and simple, or keep it simple and simpler, or keep it savory and simple, and not a lot of conversation, because really, if you focused on eating as many plant-based items, so whole fruits and vegetables, at least 5 to 7 servings, with a serving size being 2 to 2.5 cups. Very few of us eat 2 to 2.5 cups at each meal of vegetables.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, 1 serving of fruit, which is a cup. And the reason why I'm giving measurements is because it's good guidance to begin to build good habits. And when we think about protein, whether it's plant-based or animal-based, you also should know that that's just a quarter of the plate. Whereas most of us was raised that the meat we build everything around the meat, around the protein.
Yes. And there's protein in everything.
Everything. So my lab time is really just, I'm living. I eat what everybody else eat. I have been vegan, so good habits die hard. I'm most definitely in my home. I'm cooking plant-based meals, and I don't like meat substitutes.
Yeah.
So you're gonna find me using a lot of mushrooms. You're gonna find me exploring with eggplant. You're gonna find me making big sandwiches, as I like to call them, with layers and layers of vegetables that I've seasoned and made delicious, because I've learned how to fuel myself and how to heal myself. How I came into the industry was transitioning, living in the Southwest in Arizona and moving back to Illinois, Chicago specifically. From the time I moved there in July of 2003, by March of 2004, I had gone from a size, I can't even give size, 117 pounds to like 168. And that's just a shift in lifestyle.
Oh.
Yes, honey. But see, the beauty of me is that I'm a thickums.
Yes.
With weight on it falls where it needs to fall. So, you know.
You still looked good.
Right? But I didn't feel good.
Yes.
I was busting out of pants. You know, even my trainer that I began, shout out to Sherwood Grant, that I started with initially, was surprised by how much weight I was on, to the point where he asked me to get off the scale and step back on. Because I can hide it because of, you know, I'm short and it falls where it falls.
Yeah.
But again, lab time is really just a demonstration of, if we eat well-balanced meals, focusing on whole living foods, you know, our our vegetables, our fruit. If we're going to do grains, whole grains, the least processed. So, whole oats, millet, spelt, those are some of our ancient grains, amaranth. If we really focused on eating more of what we need, as opposed to all the things that are convenient, we would do well. I mean, because most of the things that we think we need and can't live without are the things that are killing us. And that's our fried foods. That's our processed foods. They're all high in saturated fat, sodium, and sugar. I mean, really, really, we don't even need to get into the science of a lot of this stuff and just eat healthier. Choose vegetables every time you get a chance. Have your plate each time you eat. Snacks, So that is what lab time is for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because that is very, I think that people need to know more about food, and I don't think it's demonstrated enough, and especially in our culture, right? What you do see is the fried foods. Give me some chicken wings, some French fries, that's, where's that sandwich from Popeyes, and that, as good as it might be, it is killing people left and right. I mean,
literally. And it's not just the kind of food; it's the amount.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of people. I mean, I'm guilty of portion distortion, but our portions and what we believe we need is so distorted.
Yes.
I mean, because many of us eat the same way we did when we were children, or when our mothers made our plates, or when we were athletes. Your dietary lifestyle should directly reflect how active you really are.
Yeah, and your amount of metabolism, right? Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, here's the funny thing: what you eat dictates what your metabolism is going to do. Yeah. So if you're overeating and eating poorly, you can't keep that metabolism going well, because you're not nurturing yourself properly. So your body can't break it down. Your body's not getting the right amount of fat, carbs, and protein that it needs together. So regardless of what dietary lifestyle, because I'll tell you what diets are. Diets are either a restriction of your calorie intake, one way or the other, restricted down or increased up to gain weight, or a lifestyle, or it's an elimination or restriction of one of your macronutrients, which are carbs, fat, and protein. That's why they all work in the beginning, because they eliminate sugar, they eliminate most of unhealthy, unsaturated fat. They eliminate processed foods and things that are white. So all of them work initially, and they might be good for you initially. But again, your relationship with food, your dietary lifestyle should be predicated on your lifestyle and the status of your health.
Yes. And that's why diet also is particular to the person, and why you should work with someone to get to know what it is that you require for yourself, instead of this, conglomerate that says everybody needs to, and it's like, well, what do you really need?
Exactly. What do you really need? I mean, one of the things we learned at the School of Integrative Nutrition is called bioindividuality.
Yeah.
And that's really all we're looking at. It's not really rocket science at all. I mean, you can come up with all the science that you need, but at the end of the day, we know that you have to eat your plants.
Yeah.
And you have to eat a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait a minute. We didn't even talk about hydrating and water and the importance of that.
Yes.
I mean, at minimum, the old school 64 ounces is a good place to start. But for amount of physical activity you have, you should be increasing that. Inevitably, there's going to be somebody stuff they're going to drive themselves, but it's a lot that goes into that too, with the electrolytes. But hydrating properly.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's just so much. We can keep going on.
Well, I know, between you and Dr. Tammy, I'm telling you, we may just have to do a whole conference, and Shalonda, I mean, we may just have to, because really, we do have to become more, and I'm going to use this word, but I mean it in a different way, but we have to become more scientific about the well-being of our bodies. And especially as I get older, I keep telling people I got to be here for a while because there are things that I have to do, I have to accomplish before I go. So I'm a little more stricter now than I was when I was younger.
And I've learned I have to be stricter as well because, age, coming being a woman that's menopausal. I mean, I might be open with what the scientific term is, but the symptoms are there and I know how to improve those. So I mean, nutrition has to be more intuitive. I'm gonna say that your relationship with food has to be more intuitive because the body gives an indication at every level what it needs.
Yes.
I mean, one of the very easiest ways is that what we eliminate between the sweat on our body, how it smells, between the urine that we give off, what color is it, how frequently are we going.
Yes.
My favorite thing to talk about is poop, our eliminations. The quality of those can tell you a lot. The color, the texture, the scent, and the frequency can tell you a lot. So we have things that help us know intuitively what our bodies need. Yes. Do I need to bulk up that stool? If I'm a juicer, when should I juice? Yeah. Early in the morning, of course, because that's how you want to break fast. It's gentle on your stomach. But then you still need to get that fiber that you took out. Yeah. You need to get that in at some point because, see, that's the bulk. That's the insoluble fiber that goes through the digestive system to sweep it out. So it's so much girl, I can talk about this all night.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's beautiful. And I'm glad that you're speaking in this way because I want people to feel inspired to reach out for you and to, if nothing else, just follow your IG and at some point really get serious about food being our medicine because the body really can live a lot longer and heal itself a lot more powerfully than what we've ever been told. And most of it is through the food and our nutrition.
Yes, and reducing stress.
Yeah, reducing stress. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Well, let's not go down another rabbit hole.
All right, Coach Iris. I know, right?
Let's not go down another rabbit hole. We keep going.
I want to thank everyone for joining us, and thank you, Coach Iris, for taking time out because I know you started at 5:30 this morning.
Yes, ma'am. I had a hike. Look, I had a hike to be at.
Okay. So it really does matter that you took time out for us. So thank you for that. And I'll probably be in Arizona before the year is out because I have people there.
Okay, well, I said I was going to make my way to Las Vegas. So either way, we're going to see each other at least once in 2020.
At least once in 2020. That's right. So thank you. And everyone else, thank you for joining us. Like I said, we'll be back in the fall. And if you haven't listened to the other podcasts, please go and listen to them. And we just thank you for being here. And hopefully you will join us when we return on September 17th. In the meantime, peace. The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my finances. All is well, all is well. The divine source of the universe guides my life and all my resources. All is well.